Today we're going to be discussing progression and technique for different variations of the horizontal pull. This progression will start from ground zero for someone who has little to zero upper body strength and weight room experience, all the way up to pull variations that are for advanced level lifters. The first variation of the horizontal pull that I would like to introduce athletes to are band rows. This can be done either seated or standing. First, we need to talk about another exercise that can be used as a coaching point to correct the athlete's posture during horizontal pulling movements. This exercise is called cat-cow. Cat-cow is an exercise used to help increase the mobility in the athlete's spine. First, have athletes have their hands and knees on the ground with their head in a neutral position. Then have the athletes breathe in as they press their back to the ceiling or towards the sky. Hold for a count. This is known as the cat version of the exercise. Then the athletes will begin to exhale their breath that they just took in and then begin to press their belly button towards the ground. This will be known as the cow version of the exercise. Whenever athletes begin to do horizontal pulls, they seem to have more of a rounded back or a cat posture. This puts a lot of stress and strain on their back and can lead to injuries in the future. So to correct that, now we have the cat-cow exercise taught and implemented in. So now an athlete can be given the more cow coaching point to know that they need to get out the arching of their lower back and have more of a flat back posture whenever they're doing pulling exercises. Or any hinge exercises for that matter as well. So now back to band row. With the band row, athletes will grab a band and wrap it around some type of sturdy pillar and step back so that way there is tension on the band the entire time. The lift will begin by the athletes having their arms fully extended and back flat in that cow posture that we just talked about. From here, instruct the athletes to pull their elbows back and try and squeeze their shoulder blades, trying to get them to touch behind their back. I also like to give the cue to try to pull the athlete's fingertips towards their rib cage to ensure full range of motion in the exercise and lift. Once athletes have begun full concentric movement, meaning that their elbows are all the way back, shoulder blades are trying to touch, and their fingertips are at their rib cage, instruct athletes to controllably allow the band to release fully out and have their arms extended back at the starting position. To increase resistance and intensity for this exercise, either have athletes take a step further away from the pillar or have the athletes use a heavier and more resistant band. Next up on the list is a variation of the chest-supported dumbbell row. This is next on the list because with the chest being supported, the back ends in a less compromised position, and the dumbbells can allow for ease of progression and regression, as well as that dumbbells can be dropped if the muscles are about to give out and leave little to no room for injury for the athlete. This exercise starts with the athlete's sternum being on the head of the bench or whatever implement is using to support the athlete's chest. Arms will start fully extended while grabbing the weight implements. To start the concentric phase of the movement is the same as before. Pull the elbows back and try to get the fingertips to be even or touch the rib cage while squeezing the shoulder blades back together. Begin the lowering or eccentric phase of the lift by having the athlete slowly and controllably lower the weight back to the starting position with their arms fully elongated and locked out. Increasing intensity to this exercise is as simple as using more weight for the dumbbells or for whatever weight implement that you choose to use. The next progression in the list is the one-arm dumbbell row. Here the athlete will have one arm pulling the weight implement while the other arm is extended on a sturdy and stationary object, or it will be on their thigh to help hold themselves up. Make sure the athlete's backs are flat right here and that they're as close to parallel to the ground as possible, utilizing that cow position emphasized earlier. From here, the exercise cues are the same for all the lifts thus far. Pull the elbow back, try to have their fingertips touch the rib cage, and have the shoulder blade of the arm that's rowing try to touch the opposite shoulder blade that is stationary or isolated. Lastly, on the horizontal pull progression that I have are barbell bent over rows. The barbell bent over row is last on the list because of the heavy focus needed on having good lower back posture to prevent injury, as well as the lifter needing a good and proficient base of pulling movements to adequately perform the exercise. Here the athlete will be in a bent over position, starting from a hinge, having the hips back, shoulder blades engaged, with the feet anywhere from slightly inside the shoulders to slightly outside the shoulders. Arms will begin fully extended and elongated, grabbing the bar. From here, at the bent over position with elongated arms, the athlete will begin the pulling or the concentric phase of the lift. Here the coaching cue is a little bit different. The athlete will now try to pull until the bar touches their sternum or torso area. Elbows are still trying to get back as far as possible, and the shoulder blades are still trying to touch each other at the back. If you notice an athlete's lower back is starting to round and become more cat-like, either have the athlete drop the weight or have the athlete stop the exercise altogether to help prevent injury to the athlete. This has been my explanation and progression of the horizontal pull exercises. Hope that this has been helpful.